Alright guys, and welcome to another deck profile thing. This past weekend, I went up to my parents' house, and for those of you that don't know, Infernal / Jacob, he's my main dueling buddy. Whenever we duel, it's always together, and he asked me to show off his DDD deck. So this video is my trip up there and doing that video with him, and then there's also another video next week. It's kind of like a pack dueling video, but I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, make sure you guys hit that like button, and if you guys are new, subscribe. And thank you for all of the support on the last video. It was really amazing, and I'll keep continuing to do these as long as you guys like them. So enjoy the video.
Well, full disclaimer, DDDs are very personalized decks, so you can play it a lot of different ways. The way I play it is actually more synchro heavy, so I'll be showing in the side deck cards that you can change to make it more fusion heavy or more Xyz heavy, but the main way I play is synchros, so I guess let's get into it. Starting with the main deck. So you obviously got 3 of the boss monster, Ragnarok. His ability, you mainly use him for his pendulum, and then you'll oftentimes get him out of the pendulum using his Meteor Burst Dragon. His pendulum is if a DD monster is special summoned, you can special summon 1 DD monster from my graveyard. And then using his normal ability, if he's normal or special summoned, you can target 1 DDD monster in your graveyard and special summon that card. And his second ability, I haven't used it very much actually, but it's pretty good. It's once per turn you contribute 1 other DD monster, then target 1 monster your opponent controls and banish it. So it's an easy way to get around a big boss monster if they have them. Easy way to get around that. Alright. Next we have, so Swirl Slam is your fusion from hand, and Necro is your fusion from graveyard. So you can use Swirl Slime with another DD or DDD monster from hand to fusion from your extra deck, and then Necro, you banish Necro and a DD or DDD card to fuse from extra deck. So another thing for Swirl Slime is when he's in the graveyard, you can banish himself to special summon 1 DD monster from hand, and that's normally how you get out Lamia, Ragnarok, Thomas, something to that effect. So yeah, those are the slimes. Next, Thomas is mainly used to almost like a meteor burst. So when you get him on the field, his ability is he can pop a DD card in the pendulum zone and then special summon a level 8 DDD monster from the deck. So normally you'd have a Ragnarok in scale, you'd use Ragnarok's ability to special summon something from the graveyard, then you would, for instance, banish a Swirl Slime, special summon Thomas, then activate Thomas to pop Ragnarok, to summon a second Ragnarok from deck to special summon again from the graveyard. So that's one of the bigger combos for Thomas. 3, Kepler. Kepler is your search. What he does is you normal summon or special summon him. You can activate one of these abilities per turn. Typically you're only going to be using the second ability, to add 1 dark contract card from your deck to your hand, and that's how you search for whatever key piece you're missing from your combos. So he's pretty important, and honestly I couldn't tell you what his pendulum ability does. You never use his pendulum ability. Next you have Lamia. This is the best tuner that this engine in general has. Its ability, it's a level 1 tuner. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can send 1 DD or dark contract card from your hand or on the field to the graveyard and then special summon her, but she's banished when she leaves the field. So that ties into, like, if she's in your graveyard and you've already used her for a synchro play, you can banish a card, or you can discard from your hand a DD or contract or pop 1 from the field and special summon her to get free synchro. Next we're moving on to 2 ofs. We have DD Ghost. I like playing 2 DD Ghost because it's an easy, fuse Swirl Slime, Necro Slime to create Genghis, then normal summon DD Ghost, and you can tune straight into Siegfried or Psyframe Lord Omega, or you can go into Beals the Diabolic Dragons, you can go into some easy synchro plays, and then when he's sent to the graveyard, he targets a monster that's in your graveyard and sends a copy of it from the deck to the graveyard. So it's an easy way to get all your Necro Slimes in grave so you can use your fusion plays, and it's also a way to get your Swirl Slimes in graveyard so you can banish them and special summon from the hand. Another thing he does is when he's banished, he actually targets a banished creature you control or banished creature you have and puts it back into the graveyard for reuse. So let's say the turn before you banish Swirl Slime and Necro Slime to fuse into something, then you banish him the next turn, you can get back the Swirl Slime or Necro Slime, whichever you want, so you can go into more plays. Next we have Orthros. Orthros is your MST. You just use him in the Pendulum. So once per turn you can target one spell or trap card on the field and then target one DD or Dark Contract you control and then destroy them both. He's just an easy MST. Also he's a 4-star tuner, so you can do the same thing as with Ghosts. You can fuse into a Genghis and then you can normal summon him, so 4 stars from him and 6 stars from Genghis. You can tune straight into a Doom King Bright Armageddon, which is an easy level 10 synchro. From there we're getting into the tech cards. So I run 1 DDD Rebel King Leonidas. His effect is when you take effect damage, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, gain life points equal to the damage you took, and then you take no effect damage. He's just an easy 7-star. You can tune him with Lamia to get out an 8 synchro, or you can tune him with like level 1 and Ghost to get out Bright King. He's really easy play. The 1 DDD Doom King Armageddon. This one I just recently put in, and the main reason why I put him in is he's actually immune to board wipes like Torrential Tribute or Dark Hole. He's an easy way to still have something on the board from that. So he cannot be destroyed by spell or trap effects that do not target him. And then additionally, once per turn, if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or a card effect, he gains attack equal to that monster. So let's say you have him on board and you have Ragnarok on board. Ragnarok's 2200. Ragnarok dies, he gains 2200 attack, so he's now 5200 attack for the turn. Next we're moving into spells. So first off, we play 3 Allures. Allure is just an easy way. Your whole deck is dark, so it's not a problem. Most of the time, like if you banish something, for instance, let's say you're like 2 or 3 turns in, you have a ghost in you have a ghost in your hand, and you already have a couple cards banished anyway. You can actually activate Allure, draw 2, banish Ghost, and then return the banished cards that you have, one of the banished cards you already have banished, back to the graveyard to recycle your plays. So that's an easy way for that. Next we play the 3 contracts with the gate. This is your searcher. This is how you search for whatever key piece you're missing. But yeah, you mainly will be getting this from Kepler. Normal summon Kepler, search for contract with the gate, activate contract with the gate, search for whatever piece you're missing from whatever combo you're going into. Only drawback is you pay 1,000 during your standby, but if you activate it and you pop it, you get rid of it, you don't take the damage from the standby. Another thing is you can clear it really easily with Beowulf, or you can destroy it to special summon Lamia. There's a lot of ways to get rid of your contracts and to avoid the damage. Yeah. I play 2 Potted Desires. It's just neg 10, draw 2. Normally when you're using it, you have 3 of most of your combo pieces, so it's not that big a deal if you banish 10 cards. Normally it'll help you. Most of the time it'll actually get you the cards you need, because oftentimes you only need like 1 card specifically, and again you're playing 3 of it, so a lot of times you'll actually still draw into it. There's that. Play the 1-ofs, Soul Charge, Foolish Burial, Raigeki, Monster Reborn, and 1-for-1. 1-for-1's perfect if you have a Swirl Slime in your hand or a Necro Slime. You can 1-for-1 put that in the graveyard, special summon Lamia. Then if you have a Swirl Slime that you just got rid of, you can banish the Swirl Slime, special summon something else from your hand. Or if you have a Necro, you can go into a fusion play from the graveyard. Really easy to go into that. Monster Reborn, everybody knows Monster Reborn. Resurrect a monster from the graveyard. just special summon a monster. Raigeki, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. And Foolish Burial, send one card or one monster from the deck to the graveyard. And then Soul Charge. You target any number of cards, any number of monsters in your graveyard, special summon them, and pay, or you lose 1,000 life points for each monster you special summoned. So yeah, traps, which we run 2. We run 1 Dark Contract with the Witch. This one, you can send 1 DD or Dark Contract card from your hand to the graveyard, target 1 card on the field, destroy it. It's another way, it's kind of an MST. You can just destroy a card on the field, but it's also a way to get around big monsters that you can't otherwise get around. You gain, during your opponent's turn, all your monsters gain 1,000 attack. So it's, hold on, once per turn, all fiend monsters you control gain 1,000 attack during your opponent's turn only. Yeah. So it's another way to beef up. So like if you have the Armageddon, Doom King Armageddon, just the normal one, the 8-star, he goes from 3,000 attack to 4,000 attack. If you have a Ragnarok, it's 22 to 32, just 1,000 extra attack. It helps you avoid like being beat into if you have something smaller on the board. So yeah, and you play 1 Solemn Warning. I just recently added this. It's okay. It works sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. But it's just something to help you have a little bit more protection, because there's certain times when you need just a little bit more, and it helps with that. And hand traps, 2 Ghost Ogre. I would actually probably get rid of the Solemn Warning for the 3rd Ghost Ogre. I have a 3rd Ghost Ogre coming sometime eventually, but I would actually probably get rid of Solemn Warning for the 3rd Ghost Ogre, only because the hand trap, it's a lot easier to get into, or it's a lot easier to use. But that's just me. From there, extra deck. And we will start off with the Synchros, because the Synchros are, like I said, the ones that I go into the most. So first off, you have the 1 Odd Eyes Meteorverse Dragon. His ability, pop something from, or not pop, summon something from the Pendulum Zone. So typically you'll be summoning Ragnarok from the Pendulum Zone. It's one of your biggest things. Special summon Ragnarok and he'll target something else, special summon it to the field. Really easy play, really easy to get him out. Next you have the 1 DDD Gust King Alexander. His effect is whenever a DD monster is normal or special summoned, control this card face up. You can target 1 level 4 or lower DD monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So you can only target something 4 or lower, so typically you'll be getting out a Lamia or a Ghost to go into a bigger tune, bigger synchro play. But he actually has a bigger version. I don't play it, but DDD Gust King or High Gust King Alexander, it targets anything. It doesn't have a level requirement, like a specific level 4 or less. It's any level at all. However, he's a 10-star, so he's too big. I don't like playing too many 10 stars. I only play the 1, but I don't like playing the high Alexander, so I just play the 1. Next off, we have one of my favorites, DDD Cursed King Siegfried. His is during either player's turn, you can target 1 face-up spell trap card on the field, negate it until the next standby phase. So if someone has like field spell out, negate it. Someone continuous trap, continuous spell, negate it. Pretty good. Also, if he dies, if this card is destroyed by battle or by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you actually gain 1,000 life points for each contract you control, which is pretty nice. Next up, we have Cyphering Lord Omega. You go into him, you banish him, and then you banish a card from your opponent's hand. Pretty simple. Next, we have Crystal Wing. Crystal Wing is one of your other negators. He negates, it's a quick effect. When another monster's effect is activated, you can negate it and destroy that card, and he gains attack equal to the card's attack. It gets added to him. So like if you negate like a 2,000 monster, he is now 5,000 for the turn. Another thing is if he battles a level 5 or higher monster, he gains that monster's attack when he battles into it. And so basically, if you're, like, let's say your opponent has blue eyes or something, he attacks into the blue eyes, he gains 3,000 attacks, so he's now 6,000, blue eyes is 3,000, so the opponent will take the difference. It's 3,000, which is pretty cool. Next we have another one of my favorites, just recently got this one, BLs of the Diabolic Dragons. He cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and when I take damage from an attack involving him or from an opponent's card effect, he gains attack equal to the damage that I take. So he's 3,000. If he beats into something with 4,000 attack, I take 1,000 damage, but then he gains 1,000 attack. He's now 4K. He's pretty good, pretty strong. Next we have the one Trishula, which is actually easier to get into than you'd expect with this deck. I go into Trishula quite a bit. When Trishula is summoned, you can banish one card from the field, the opponent's hand, and the opponent's graveyard, which is pretty nice. And then we have the one 10-star Super Doom King Bright Armageddon, which surprisingly enough, he's a 10-star, but he's probably one of the synchros I go into most during a game. And his main effect is your opponent cannot target monsters you control with card effects, which is huge. So they can't target anything you control at all. He actually has a counterpart that I run in side deck, Dark Armageddon, and his effect is you can't be destroyed by card effects, but this one is you cannot target, so that's pretty cool. There's the synchros. Now we'll go into the XZs. I only play 2 XZs. I play the Man, the Myth, the Legend, Duodon King Kaliuga. His effect is when he is summoned, it negates everything on the board. All monsters, all spells, all traps, all everything. And anything on the board cannot be activated other than himself. And then you can detach one material. It's a Heavy Storm. And then you can detach a second material to set a contract from your graveyard to the field. And then next we have the one Hope Harbinger. His effect, quick effect, during either player's turn when a spell card or an effect is activated, you can negate the activation, and then instead of destroying the card, you actually add the card to his materials. So someone, like your opponent activates Dark Hole or something, you negate it, you add Dark Hole to his materials. He now has an extra material. And his detach is you detach one material from him during when your opponent attacks, and whatever your opponent is attacking, the target switches and it has to attack Hope Harbinger. So that's pretty cool. Next up we have the fusions. I play 3 of fusions. We play 1 DDD Flame King Genghis. Flame King Genghis is when a DD monster is special summoned. You can special summon 1 DD monster from your graveyard to the field. And then if he dies if he is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 Dark Contract in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So that's pretty good. And next up we play the 1 Oracle King to Arc, which has the same summoning requirements as DDD Flame King Genghis. And any effect damage that you would take is instead converted to life points that you gain. So you take 2,000 from your Dark Contracts if you have 2 Dark Contracts activated, but instead of taking 2,000 damage, you'll gain 2,000. So that's pretty good. And then lastly, we play the 1 DDD Dragonbane King Beowulf. All monsters you control gain piercing damage, and during your standby phase, he wipes all spells and traps. He destroys all spells and traps on the board. So if you're low life points and you have him on the board, you have like 4 contracts up or 3 contracts up, however many, he'll wipe the contracts off the board so you won't take damage. So there's the fusions, and next we play 2 Link monsters. We play 2 Master King Archfiends. The Master King Archfiend combo, you only use his actual effect for one thing, and you actually use it for... The way that it works is whenever you pay life points, you can send a card to the graveyard equal to the life points that were paid. So one of the effects of Ragnarok is when he's in the Pendulum Zone, you have to pay 1,000 life points to special summon from the graveyard. So like you special summon a DD monster and then you activate Ragnarok from the Pendulum Zone, you pay 1,000 life points, and then you can special summon any DDD monster from the graveyard. And the way that works is you'll pay 1,000, and Dark Armageddon has 1,000 defense, so then it will trigger Master King's effect to send Dark Armageddon to the graveyard. So then you can use him for whatever play you can from the graveyard. So that's pretty cool. His other effect is a dice roll. 99% of the time you will not use it. If you roll a 1, you add the monster that you just sent to the graveyard to your hand. If you roll 2, 3, 4, or 5, you send it back to the deck. And if you roll 6, you can special summon it. Odds are you're not going to use that effect. I haven't used it once while using him. So that's that. Next off, I have a little bit of a side deck. The side deck is mainly, I just use cards. If I had like more hand traps, I'd put that in here. But I use the side deck mainly if I want to switch the way I play. Because right now I play mainly synchro heavy. But I use cards in here that could make it more fusion or DDD heavy. So one of the things that I have in my side deck is I actually play a second Flame King Genghis. And what you do when you have the second Flame King Genghis is you can add in High Wave King Caesar. Which High Wave King Caesar is a special summon negate. He can negate the special summon of any monster. And then if you do negate it, you can destroy the monster and then target one card you control, and that monster gains 1800 attack. So that's 2 of the Xyz monsters. And another one I play is Aegeon, the Sea Castrum, who is 2 level 8 monsters. You overlay to get him, and his effect is once per turn during either player's turn, you can randomly banish 1 monster from your opponent's extra deck. So you look, or you don't get to look in the opponent's extra deck, but you choose a random card from the extra deck, banish it. His detach effect is you can actually detach a card from him and then target one of the banished cards that you have gotten rid of from your opponent's extra deck, and then you can destroy a monster on the field that has the same type. So for instance, let's say you banished 4 cards of fusion, an Xyz, a synchro, and then another Xyz for some reason. And then your opponent controls an Xyz monster. You can detach one of his materials, return one of the banished Xyz monsters to the opponent's extra deck, and then destroy the Xyz monster that's on the field. So that's pretty cool to get into sometimes. And it slowly eats away at your opponent's extra deck, which is always nice. Next is, I used to run these in the main deck, but since I play more synchro heavy deck, I don't actually use these anymore. It's 2 Dark Contracts of the Swamp King. It's another way to fusion. So you can fusion 1 fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand, your field, or if you have them in your graveyard, you can banish them from your graveyard in order to fusion. However, like I said, I only have the main fusion plays that you'll have will be off of Swirl Slime and Necro Slime, and you don't fuse other than that. So it's just if you add more fusion cards to your to your main deck. Next, 2 Copernicus, which is basically on normal summon. He's a Foolish Burial for DDDs. He can put on normal summon. He can put 1 DD or DDD monster from your deck to the graveyard. So he's an easy Foolish Burial. Next is DD Lilith. Her effect was if this card is normal summon, you can activate one of these effects. Target 1 DD monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, or add 1 face-up DD pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. So if you have a Ragnarok in your extra deck, because he died from the field, you can add him to your hand, or you can target 1 from your graveyard and add it to your hand, which is pretty nice to recycle some plays. Next, play 1 back to the front. Target 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. Oftentimes you'll be special summoning, you could special summon a Bright King. You could special summon actually Bright King would go to the extra deck, never mind. But you can special summon something from the extra deck. Normally I haven't gotten to use this card at all, so you'd target something, not sure what though. And then you'd play the 1 DDD Geist King Alexander, so you'd run 2 of him. If you were to side him in, same effect. Special summon something level 4 or lower. If you normal special summon a DD monster. The next you play 1 Destrudo. And this card would be so amazing if he was only a Fiend. If he was a Fiend, he'd be in the main deck 100% of the time. So his effect is while in your hand or graveyard, you'd pay half your life points, then target 1 level 6 or lower monster on the field, then special summon him. And he would reduce his level based on the level of the card you targeted to special summon him. So, for instance, you have, like, let's say you have Savant Kepler on the field. You have him in hand, pay half your life points, special summon him, reduce his level by 1 because Savant Kepler is level 1, which makes him level 6. Level 6 plus 1, that's a 7-star synchro. You go into a synchro play. It's fantastic. It's great. He's a great card, but he's a dragon. He has the same stats as the Doom King Dark Armageddon, just backwards. So you could still use the same, if he was a fiend, you could do the same play that you do with Doom King Dark Armageddon to put him in the graveyard using Master King if he was a fiend, but he's a dragon, so he's not. So he's good to play, but he's not as good as he would be if he was a fiend. Next, 1 Torrential Tribute. Just a little bit more protection out of the board clear. If you need it, you can play it. And then we have the extra deck. I have a second Doom King Bright Armageddon, just in case, because going into 2 is really strong. However, sometimes you mainly don't need it, but if you go into 2, it's most of the time too overwhelming for your opponent. So it's just something I added for a little bit extra. And then you have this guy, which if you were to run the 2 Dark Contracts, you would also add him in. This guy he's like a relinquished, but stronger. So once per turn, when an attack is declared involving this card, you can target one other DD or Dark Contract card you control, return it to the hand, and if you do, equip 1 face-up monster your opponent controls to this card. And then you can add the attack of this card gains attack equal to all combined cards equipped to him are added to his original attack, which is 3,200. To make him just a giant. He's huge. Only problem is he doesn't have any protection of himself. Like Bright King Armageddon is 3,500 and protects all of your guys from being targeted. He doesn't have any protection. He just has the equip effect. So he's strong, but he's not fantastic. That's why I don't run him anymore. I used to main deck him, but not anymore. And then we have the 1 Super Doom King Dark Armageddon. This is one, if I had more room in the extra deck, I would add him, but all the cards I run, I use all the time. And like Hope Harbinger and Duodon King Caliuga are just better than him. And you normally don't have enough to make a 3rd rank 8. So I don't use him anymore. But he's really good. So he cannot be Pendulum Summoned, which you don't Pendulum Summon in this deck, so it's not too big a deal. And then when this card is XZ summoned, you can attach 1 face-up DD Pendulum Monster from your extra deck to this card as a material. And then pendulum monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. So, for instance, Bright King Armageddon, immune to do card effects, and it can't be targeted. So if you have him and Bright King, you cannot be targeted by card effects, and you cannot be destroyed by card effects. You're completely immune to them. Oblivion King Ragnarok is immune to card effects because of him. Dark King Armageddon, Leonidas, all your pendulums are immune to all card effects. So yeah, he's the last bit from my extra deck.